Ladies and gentlemen, we start? Yeah? Just let you put your... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Oh, sorry, the President Buyoya would like... Okay, everybody's ready. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, a warm welcome to this session. My name is Jean Contantinesco from the EU Delegation to the African Union. Welcome to this special session around a special Afro-European initiative. We will hear high-level speakers, distinguished speakers. We will hear youth from both continents, and we will finish with music by a unique Afro-European music duet. Let's first watch a 1-minute video about the AU-EU Youth Hub before I go into a tiny bit more detail and introduce the speakers. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. So a few more words about this initiative before we hear our distinguished guests and friends. This approach is an approach that was created and imagined by young staff from the African Union and from the European Union. And it's an approach that started at the last summit of heads of states, where a first initiative called the AU-EU Youth Plug-in Initiative gathered youth from Africa and Europe who worked on 6 topics together and put some ideas on the table of heads of states. The next phase is what we are having now. It's called the AU-EU Youth Hub. And in a nutshell, as you've seen, the Youth Hub is about 42 young people from Africa, from Europe, and from the diaspora who are working together to pilot such ideas. So what's important in our view about this initiative that we're presenting to you today is that it's not only youth thinking together, it's youth thinking and trying to act together. The hub, I won't be long because I think it's more important that we hear our speakers, but the hub is innovative in 3 main ways. First, in the way that it includes 42 young people who are looking at common challenges from different angles and overseeing the use of funds. And I think this is quite an important element, because often youth inclusion initiatives stop at speeches, stop at general declaration. And what we're trying to do here with the hub is to build a bridge between people who usually don't really work together. Secondly, the nature of the 6 pilot projects that will be tried, and the youth from the hub will be presenting them to you tonight. And finally, by the integrated governance approach that it's trying to promote, meaning, a bit like what President Macron was saying this morning, almost forcing people who usually do not work together, forcing them to do so. Who are those people? They are the institutions, they are the young people from Africa and Europe, there are civil society organizations who will pilot those projects, and hopefully tomorrow there will be also the private sector, which we are working hard to try to involve and get on board of this initiative. We are just finishing 4 days of intense work with the 42 young people from Africa, Europe, and the diaspora, and the CSOs, the civil society organizations, that will lead the pilot projects. We met thanks to the Agence Française de Développement and thanks to DEVCO from the European Commission. We met in Paris, and we tried to imagine this relationship, which is unprecedented. Never have CSOs, when they receive financing from a donor, have to sit with young people from Africa and Europe. And you know what the cool thing is? They actually really enjoyed it. I think we can say so. So it's very encouraging for us, and we're very excited to see this implementing phase forward. We hope to be able to report at the next summit of heads of states on concrete actions that have started to be piloted. Now we have here, we have here 2 youth from the hub, but we have 6 who will come here tonight to briefly present the pilot projects. And we have many more youth from the youth hub here who are there. There we go. And beyond the youth, we are very fortunate to have this amazing panel here tonight, and we feel, I think, all of us very fortunate to have, distinguished friends. So let me introduce them briefly, but just saying that this brings to this panel a wealth of experience, and I think it also shows a shared commitment to youth inclusion. So thank you very much for that. Firstly, from the European Union and the African Union, who are with this initiative, trying to walk the talk of youth involvement. Mr. Doens, Director General of DG DEVCO from the European Commission. Mr. Pierre Buyoya, former President of Burundi and AU High Representative for the Sahel. From the United Nations, because we really do believe in this AU-EU UN. It's nice to say about this trilateral relationship, but we are trying to embody it. So thank you very much for your presence. Mr. Tijjani Muhammad-Bande, who is the President of the UN General Assembly. And then Mrs. Arancha Gonzalez, Executive Director of the International Trade Center. And last but not least, Mr. Mo Ibrahim, President of the Mo Ibrahim Foundation, among others. So thank you very much for being here. The way this thing is going to go is that we're going to hear first the youth, because it would be wrong in such an event not to let the youth speak first, I think. So one young per cluster will come and present the pilot project briefly, and then we will give the floor to our speakers. And let me just say that, as I actually said it before, we will finish in music. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ariana Urbani from Italy and Ade Olowojoba from Nigeria. So please, you're welcome. Take the floor. Let's encourage them, because it's not so easy to be on this thing with all the lights. There we go, guys. There we go. All right, let's give a bit of youth touch to this thing.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for this event. As Jean said, I'm Ariana. I work in peacekeeping at the United Nations, and I'm part of the Peace and Security Cluster. And I'm here to present our pilot project. Just to give you a bit of a background, as you all know, for over a decade, the Lake Chad Basin region has been affected by strong instability and violent extremism. This has definitely received a lot of political attention and interventions, but as we know, unfortunately, a huge gap persists between intentions and the realities on the ground, especially for youth. So our pilot project will aim at map and track basic services and stability vectors in the region in real time. And the innovative aspect of this project is that the data that will form this platform and will structure this platform will be collected, gathered, and also analyzed by young women and men from the region, from the countries concerned. So this will, first of all, not only empower them in the process as a part of the implementation of this project, but especially will engage them in the broader political process in these crisis settings. We think that is particularly important. And afterwards, as a broader objective, we really hope that this project will also bring better coordination between humanitarian and development actors engaged on the ground, thanks to the data provided by these young women and men. And last but not least, the project will also seek to implement and operationalize the African Union's strategy for the Lake Chad Basin region, which we think is a particularly important aspect of it as well.
Thank you very much. All right, Ade, please.
Good evening, everyone. As they rightly mentioned, I'm Ade, and I work in the field of access to computer science education. I'm here to represent the Education and Skills Cluster. And just to give some context to our work, Education, access to quality education still remains a global issue. And according to UNESCO, over 264 million young people still do not have access to quality education. And on top of that, those who still have access still are not able to learn some of the things that would give them value in the world of work today. Our project would equip over 1,000 students in Mali and Spain with skills in the area of 21st century, especially in STEAM education, to prepare them for the world of work. They would also be equipped with skills like leadership and life skills so that they can become active citizens within the society. We would also be working with over 180 teachers would by equipping them to be able to effectively pass these skills to the students. What is innovative about this project is the fact that the co-creation that is involved between Africans and Europeans and the involvement of young people at every phase of the project and in the core of the project, right from the evaluation of the learning needs to the implementation of the project and to the governance of the project itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, let's, unfortunately, because we have so many speakers, the youth will switch. Please welcome Daphne Van Dam from the Netherlands and Khadijat Abdul Kadir, Belgium, Nigeria.
Thank you very much. It's really good to be here. And I will talk about the exciting things which has been going on with the business cluster. So I'm representing the business and job creation. And I would like to start by saying or reminding us that according to the United Nations, 18 million jobs should be created by 2035. And unfortunately, 3.5 million jobs are all we create yearly today. So with this in mind, and to close the gap for this entrepreneurship and the need to invite the young people to promote this very crucial topic, we have actually, with the business cluster, supported what we call a Green Start. A Green Start is a project which is piloting in 5 different countries across Africa, focused on Maghreb and Burkina Faso area in the West Africa. And what we aim to achieve with this project is actually to have 150 startups incubated across this region, promote South-South partnership, promote the use of technological platforms to drive execution with a project such as this, and also to influence measuring success and the matrix within entrepreneurship, and of course, eventually to promote a more informed economic balance within this region for financial partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you, Khadijat. Daphne?
Thank you. My name is Daphne, and on behalf of my very inspiring, I must say, culture, arts and sports fellows who are also here in the room, I'm very proud to sit here on the table and actually discuss culture, arts and sports, as it's often underrepresented in the dialogue. And this is why art can play a massive role, as it can connect the seemingly unconnected. It can address major global challenges such as conflict resolution and the integration of refugees. Unfortunately, our generation of young creatives often do not have the skills, the access to events, the tools, the network to turn their to make a living out of the thing that we love. And it's actually an art of living on art. Our project will spark our project will spark positive behavioral change, and will master creatives to turn their passion into something which is a sustainable business. Its innovation lies in the fact that it's a Euro-African initiative designed by youth, for youth. The projects will aim to facilitate trainings, build capacity, and realize mutual transfers between continents. It will establish a cultural entrepreneurship hub in which people can connect, collaborate, and find funding for their projects. And lastly, which I'm very, very proud of, is that we'll celebrate. We'll celebrate through different events, and we'll realize 2 very large international cultural events, festivals actually, where we will celebrate. And I would like to invite you all for this in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. Now I invite Martin Dautier from Belgium and Antoinette Ngoube. I tried to pronounce your name just the way you said it. It's difficult. Please.
Thank you, John. Everyone, thank you so much. I'm a full-time agronomist and part of the Environmental Preservation and Climate Change Cluster. And we have taken a collaborative approach with Oxfam Spain and its local associations in Burkina Faso and Niger to work on a project that plans to plant trees and maintain trees in the Sahel region in order to regreen it. This is consequent to the fact that climate change or the climate impact crisis on the Sahel region has brought about some challenges such as land degradation, and it has shifted, the grazing areas in the Sahel area. Therefore, we saw it necessary to come up with this collaborative approaches with the CSOs in order to lead these projects in this area. The innovative aspect of this project is that it will bring forth both social and environmental transformations through the payment ecosystem services scheme, which will reward locals which are involved in the regreening value chains. Furthermore, the project intends to integrate drones and satellite tracking in order to use image sensing when the regenerating process is being underway. And also the project intends to integrate communication campaigns that are led by youth for youth in order to raise awareness in local communities within the Sahel region. Lastly, it will map the Great Green Wall initiatives which are currently taking place in the Sahel area in order to make them visible to the global audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Antoinette. Martin.
Well, good evening. So my name is Martin. I'm a lawyer. I work in legal technical assistance to governments, and I represent the governance cluster. How dare you? Everybody remembers these words, and I want to turn to the audience to know who here has heard of Greta Thunberg? Someone? Yeah?
A little bit.
Please raise your hand as well if you, your children, or teenagers that you know have participated in movements tackling climate change recently. Yes? That's great. That's great. But how many of us can really talk about examples of youth-piloted actions stemming from these movements and that delivered concrete results? Well, I want to talk to you about a project that will involve the youth in climate governance processes in a very meaningful way. The project that we imagined will bring together young people from Ireland and Tanzania in a position of power. They will engage their local government in dialogues, they will create mutual agreement, and they will hold them accountable. There is 1,000 young people that will be equipped with skills and tools, and that will be emulated to take action at their local level. Together, and through the same digital interface, they will collect data, use it, and disseminate it. Our project really builds on this global movement, but brings it down to earth, bridging 2 communities, one in Africa, one in Europe, around concrete action plans. Sauti Youth, which is the name of the project and which translates into My Voice, will also act as a toolbox. It can be replicated in other countries, and it can also be expanded to other topics than climate action. Finally, I want to say that our vision as a hub is that there is still a lot of potential in our way of working. Collaboratively designing projects is really, really powerful, but we need the means to do that. So, how dare you? Well, we dared, and now we dare you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's it for the overview of these pilot projects from the hub. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. Koen Doens to deliver a few remarks. Please, Koen.
Well, thanks a lot. I feel rejuvenated, and of course challenged and dared. I remember when we started this, the Abidjan Summit, when this whole idea came about, and when we all thought, well, how exciting and how scary. Exciting, of course, because when you can do this kind of thing with young people, it's, I mean, you can feel the pulse, you can feel the heartbeat, but also scary because we were all wondering, I mean, what the hell are they going to come up with? What are they going to do? And I think that if we look at what the process delivered, if we look at how it was run, if we look at what is presented today, I think we can all say that this was a bet worth making. And even more so, it is something that is very inspiring for the future. And maybe for two reasons. First of all, what really struck me in all the presentations is not just the seriousness of it, but it is the importance you attach to monitoring and accountability. And I think that is fascinating because what you would expect from young people is to be taken over by enthusiasm, great ideas, and you want to do stuff and so on. I found it really interesting to see how you, whilst you have ambition, you keep your feet very firmly on the ground. You want to see what the results are of what you do. You want to monitor it, you want to evaluate it, you want to track it, and you want to keep those who implement it for accountability. I think that's the first, for me, very important lesson. The second one, which we definitely also want to take forward, is the benefits of co-creation. You've referred to it, I mean, many of you have referred to it. It's something that we don't naturally do. We have a chain of command. We have the institutions that do stuff, that channel money, that have ideas. We have the implementers, and then we have the beneficiaries. And the fact of bringing these three together is, and it may seem amazing, but it is innovative. And it's great to see that the outcome of this process is so solid. And in a certain way, I think it really it dovetails to one of the challenges of our time. We all talk about climate change, we all talk about digitalization, but definitely I think inclusiveness is probably one of the other big challenges of our times. And it goes beyond inequalities. It goes about our capacity to include different types of actors into this kind of processes of co-creation. And I think that the AU-EU Youth Hub has here as well shown how you can be innovative and still produce real results that we will be able to take, to draw some lessons from and take it.
Thank you very much, Koen. Thank you for those words. I think you've really outlined some features that to be honest, we were really hoping to hear from you. So thank you very much. As it is an AU-EU project, c'est mon honneur d'inviter Monsieur le Président Buyoya à donner quelques remarques. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le modérateur. Je voudrais dire que, à mon tour, je suis ravi de ce que nous venons entendre de la part des jeunes qui ont exprimé avec beaucoup d'enthousiasme ce qu'ils font. Mais je voudrais commencer par féliciter les initiateurs du projet. Je crois qu'ils ont eu une excellente idée et ce projet répond à une demande forte de l'inclusion des jeunes. Vous savez que particulièrement sur le continent africain, les jeunes, c'est pratiquement dans certains pays 60% de la population. et il y a une grande demande de les inclure et parfois les gouvernements et les autres organisations ne savent pas par quel bout prendre le problème. Et voilà que l'idée qui a émergé, c'est d'impliquer les jeunes eux-mêmes à penser leur inclusion dans des projets extrêmement concrets. Parce que les jeunes, ce qui les caractérise, c'est l'innovation même, les idées, la créativité. Et je crois que ce que nous venons d'entendre nous montre que c'était une bonne voie. Donc c'était en la matière une excellente innovation. Deuxièmement, l'autre aspect innovatif, c'est ce nouveau modèle de coopération entre le Nord et le Sud. Vous savez que pendant des décennies, on a tenté des modèles. Et on se plaint souvent que ça n'a pas marché. Je crois que l'idée de tenter quelque chose de nouveau est une excellente idée, de concevoir les projets ensemble, de les expérimenter ensemble et je l'espère de les exécuter demain ensemble. Je voudrais donc, au nom du président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, féliciter les initiateurs du projet, mais aussi féliciter les jeunes qui ont accueilli cette idée avec beaucoup d'enthousiasme et qui y travaillent avec brio. Tout ce que je peux faire, c'est leur souhaiter plein succès et espérer que demain, nous puissions voir ces idées éclore sur le terrain et se généraliser sur les terrains aussi compliqués que le Sahel, que je connais très bien. Et je crois qu'on voit que ce sont des idées qui touchent aux choses extrêmement concrètes que les populations vivent au jour le jour. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Merci beaucoup pour ces mots. Je passe vraiment la parole d'un à l'autre pour peut-être espérer avoir le temps de quelques questions avec l'audience qui semblerait importante. Monsieur le Président de l'Assemblée générale de l'ONU, je vous en prie. Merci beaucoup. Il doit être allumé normalement.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it should be.
Well, I think the issues raised by the previous speakers as comment on the remarkable presentations, I think, are well on spot. And I simply deepen their comments by saying that, first, it's remarkable not only the model of cooperation, which underscores the necessity and the promise of multilateralism in action, but also the courage of young people to confront real problems and the confidence they have to succeed, and they have succeeded. And I would say, from the point of view of an elder, what is as interesting as having young people with the courage that will tell you that after you leave, they'll do better. It's absolutely important that there is creativity in what they have done, and the idea also raised about monitoring, about follow-up, and about data. I think so that it's simply not simply intuitive things that you also follow to see what has been done. I think these are remarkable, and I think it's one way from the point of view of the United Nations that we see the work is critical and ever more so. And models of development that show problems are global. North-South is not it. It's common problems. And the notion of co-creation, I think, is important. I congratulate the initiative and also particularly the youth who are doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mrs. Gonzalez, je vous en prie.
Well, first of all, thank you. I've taken plenty of notes to take back home. There's two things I love in this initiative. One, it's that you're doing this in partnership. Europe and Africa. Not Europe and Africa, not Africa and Europe, is Europe together with Africa. Two is that you're co-creating, you're co-designing. From the beginning, you're thinking and you're already inputting the different visions and the different views you have of the same problem. Now, after these two great ingredients, the test of the pudding will be in whether or not all these solutions can be replicated and can be scaled up. So maybe what I have is a few suggestions for you to do that. One, you have to, when you're doing the design, you have to think very carefully the structure of your intervention. Where we call this in the jargon, we call this a theory of change. Where do you start? Where do you want to end? And a logical set of steps from where you are to where you want to end. And all of this has to be structured, because whomever comes after you or wants to get inspiration from you need to understand exactly what's the logical steps to follow. Second, you need to think of a set of indicators that you're going to use to measure whether or not this is successful. Because without that, I'm looking at my friend Mo, this is the test, is whether or not you meet the indicators. Now, I heard in what you said, all of you, I heard jobs, I heard skills, I heard data, I heard green, I heard voice. In here, you need a big component of business already embedded in your design. So what I would suggest, and what I can offer also, not just suggest, is embed the business, embed lots of, especially on the digital side, lots of digital operators in the African and in the European continent. And then go for the big names, go for maybe more modest names, but who are already operating in the market, that can get inspired by your ideas to develop, co-create with you solutions. What I can offer is that in the 1 week annual event that the International Trade Center hosts in Addis Ababa next week, we will not only have a full day dedicated to youth, but we will also have 2 days dedicated to business. So what we can do is bringing the two together, contribute to making sure, especially on the digital side, you get the business angle that you need to scale this up. Other than that, final suggestion, we talk a lot about climate. We need big voices on peace and on multilateralism. Two themes that we are not talking enough about, where I don't hear enough of the youth demanding peace and multilateralism. Is the theme of this forum, is where your voice can be of huge help. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Arancha, for also outlining the importance of the business. As I outlined it as well, it's something that we're trying to do, and where we would be very glad to get a bit of help from ITC. Next week, 2 people from the hub will actually participate at the World Export Development Forum that you organize in Addis, and so we'll be able to create links. Mr. Ibrahim, please. Mo. Thank you, Mo. Thank you for being here.
I always have a problem speaking after Arancha because you just killed me, you know. She really raised a lot of important things. It's wonderful. I think this few points. First, thanks very much for the European Union for funding this. This could not have happened without funding. So we have to acknowledge that. So thank you, really Koen, for coming through this. Give him a hand, you know. Sometimes everybody bash the European Union. Nobody ever say thank you. You know, everybody goes and say, oh, I need my subsidy, I need my... anyway, tough job. So that's I think thanks are due, and we have to offer it. I was excited to see the titles, the focus of what you're trying to do. I feel a little bit frustrated, frankly, because I haven't got much meat. I would have liked to know a little bit more about this project. So what exactly doing? I'm collecting data. What kind of data? Is it represent? What are you going to do with this data? How are you going to analyze it? Then what is? So I guess I would love to see some write-ups or some more. I know this forum is not the right forum to go into details, but it'll be really interesting to do that sort of thing. And we have our annual meeting also in April. If two of you can go to Arancha's event, maybe a couple of you can come to our event, and we'll have workshops for you to explain what you're trying to do. That's important because it has to be also out for all of us to see, and we see what you can do. I love the idea of European young people and African young people working together. That's interesting. I think it's also important for us to tell us what are the impediments for your work. You know, because it's not, I'm sure you had problems in executing what to try to. You go around trying to collect data. Do you get arrested by the government? You know, who are those guys? You know, because some countries this happened before. Whether unhelpful approaches from whether civil society organization or government to your work or whoever. Let us have some feedback about, because this is what can hold back our entrepreneurs, our people. So you are running a number of projects, you are well funded, but let us know, maybe that's not enough. Governments are not helping enough. Is there a red tape? Is there a problem? Too much bureaucracy. You communicate with the African Union, you don't get an answer for a month. Or I'm not saying that is the case, but if it is, we need to know. So can you also see what are the impediments, what are the barriers and the issues? But I really look forward to read a little bit more, and I hope to see you soon in April. And I would love to know a little bit more. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mo. Thank you very much. We've been very thrilled to count with the support from the Mo Ibrahim Foundation already since last year, even before the project actually got awarded here at the Paris Peace Forum, because your foundation was one of the first actors to bet a bit on this approach, which the evidence-based approach that you are doing is really what I think all the young people and the CSOs alike and the institutions are trying to really look for. You got the presentation of the Peace and Security Cluster on the Lake Chad Basin. How is it that you have on this region where you can pin it down on a map and everybody agrees at high level and with nice meeting with ties that it's a priority? How is it that there are hundreds of millions of euros dedicated to this objective and that the local people, and we have 2 northern Nigerians in our Peace and Security Cluster, tell you that it just doesn't move on the ground? There needs to be a way to objectivize a bit things, and this is what we're going to try to modestly, but try to work in this direction. Thank you very much. Now we are faced with a very difficult choice, ladies and gentlemen, because basically we have just a bit more than 5 minutes left, and we have 2 choices, or 2 options rather. Either we open the floor to questions, but we have heard a lot of talking today in this forum, or we invite 2 amazing musicians to come and perform, and music is something that we have not heard tonight. So with your permission, we will go for the second option. And we will listen to Sheriff Soumano and Sébastien Gignot. Well, I hope they're ready, because otherwise it kind of looks bad. Yes, hello? Let's call them maybe. So just while they are sitting down, just for you to give you a bit of context, these 2 musicians were part of yet another Afro-European music initiative, initiative focused on music that we created in Addis in May. 12 musicians from both continents who came to co-create music and record an album. There's a documentary on it, and the album is also quite amazing. And actually, you can pass it because it's here on this USB stick. So you can have the album and bring it home. It's pretty amazing. Sébastien, Sheriff, il te faut quoi? Ouais, so the music is going to be played like, exactly, you don't need your headsets. Sébastien Gignot, Sheriff Soumano. L'Europe et l'Afrique. Bravo. All right. Thank you all for attending this session. Thank you all for your support, and we will keep you posted on how it's moving forward. Thank you all. Have a great evening. And if the hub want to just have a picture with the speakers, that would be great. Thank you so much. Et bravo, Sheriff Seb.